Welcome to this video on two-way tables. By the end of this video, you should be able to read and analyze a two-way table and be able to find joint, marginal, and conditional relative frequencies using your two-way table. Alright, so a two-way table shows the frequency as they relate to two different variables. And so it's called two-way because you have rows and columns. So you have two different variables going on, and then there are subsets of those variables. We can use these tables to find the probability of an event happening based on results in the table. So the first one I want to talk about is a joint relative frequency. So a joint relative frequency is the ratio of a category cell and the total number of data values. So what that means is a category cell, which are these, and we want to know how these numbers relate to this overall total right here. Okay, and so it's called joint because it's where two categories cross. They form a corner or a joint. Okay, so when if we're looking for a joint relative frequency, we know a number is going to come out of here and it's going to be divided by, I call this the total, because these are all totals, and so that way it kind of helps us keep everything straight. So let's try a couple of examples. Of all the students surveyed, so it says of all the students, that's the total. There's 119 of these guys. Of all the student surveys, what percentage are male and in band? So we want to look where male and band cross right here at 12. So male and in band is 12. 12 out of the 119, if we do the division, I got, it's a longer number. I'm going to take the first two digits at this point, 0.10, okay, and then you're going to multiply that number by 100 to get the percentage, so that's going to be 10%. Okay, let's try it again. Of all the students surveyed, well, that's this total. There's 100 of these 119 students. What percentage are female and in yearbook? So we want female and yearbook. And where those two the column and the row cross, the joint number is 7. So we're going to show our setup. When I do my division, I got 0.06. I'm going to multiply that number times 100. And really, when you do that, it just moves the decimal places twice. So I get 6%. So out of everybody who took the survey, 6% were females in the yearbook club. All right, so that's a joint relative frequency. Okay, it just refers to the column and the row crossing. The next one that I would like to talk about is the marginal relative frequency. Okay, so a margin is the edges. If you think about the edges of a book, so a marginal relative frequency is the ratio of a category total and the total number of data values. That means your numbers. So the total number of data values is that total right there. And so this is going to be the denominator, or the bottom number, and your top number, your numerator, is going to be one of these category totals. And see how it's all on the edges of the two-way table. That's in the margin of the table. That's why they call it a marginal relative frequency. Okay, that's still our total. So it'll be one of these edge numbers divided by 119. So let's take a look at our questions. What is the probability a randomly selected student is in the band? Okay, so it didn't say of all the people, but it didn't say not of all the people. So we're going to take out of those 119, what's the probability they're in the band? So in the band, the total number of band students is 33. So we're going to say 33 divided by 119, and I got 0.28. Multiply that number times 100, which moves your decimal 2 places to the right, and you get 28%. So 28% of those surveyed were in the band. Okay, now of all the students surveyed, so out of those 119 students, what percentage are female? So I go to my female. Female total is 48. So it's 48 out of the 119. When I do my division, 48 divided by 119, I got 0.40. Multiply that times 100, and I got 40% of those surveyed are female. Okay? All right. So those are the more straightforward. This last one, it's not any more difficult. It just takes a little bit more thought. Okay, so we're going to do a conditional relative frequency. And so what a condition is it's only talking about a particular group at one time, and it's not talking about everybody. Okay, it's only talking about a group. So we want to know the ratio of a category total and the total number of data values. Okay, so what that's saying is I want to know, it's really a joint frequency divided by one of these marginal frequencies, but not the total. Okay, so you're going to take a category or cell where they cross divided by a category total. So here's where it's a little bit of a language thing. So this question says, of the males. So we're not talking about everybody. We're only talking about the males. So when I go look, there's 71 males. So they're saying, of these 71 males, what's the probability they're in yearbook? Well, 28 of those 71 are in yearbook. So we're not talking about everybody, just the males. Males is the condition that has to be met. So when I do my division, 28 divided by 71, I get 0.39. You multiply that by 100, which moves your decimal 2 places to the right, and you get 39%. All right, let's try it again. What percentage of chorus students are female? So it doesn't say of all the students. They're only asking about chorus students. When I go to chorus, their total is over here at 32. So of these 32 students, how many of them are female? The female chorus is right there at 17. So when I do the division, 17 divided by 32, I got 0.53. When you multiply that by 100, you get 53%. So of the chorus students, 53% of them are female. Okay? All right, so a little summary here to help you kind of think about how to do your division. All right, so this one's really, it's the joint relative frequency, a joint relative frequency. And we took a cell total. And so really what we wanted to have here is where a row crosses a column, cell total, and that's going to be divided by the total. Okay, that's how you'll get your joint relative frequency. The marginal relative frequency is a column or row total divided by a total. And then our conditional is you're going to take the total from a row crossing a cell, or total row cross column, and you're going to divide it by a row or column total, depending on what the question is asking. Okay, so conditional is the only one that doesn't use this total. It uses a marginal total. So really it's it's being divided by a marginal total, and then you want one of your cell totals there. That might help a little bit. All right, let's try one kind of putting everything together. A lot of times you'll see them come out where the table is not completely filled out. And so this is a little bit like a puzzle that we just got to figure out how to determine what these numbers are. So I know this plus this equals 1,180. So if I take 1,180 minus what's already there, it tells me what's left over, which is 116, which is the total. That's going to go in right there. Okay. I know this right here adds to 312. So to find the missing spot, I'm going to take 312 minus 276, and I got 36 right there. I'm going to add these two together to get this total. So 22 plus 262 gave me 284. And 7 plus something gives me 276. So 276 minus 7, I got 269. And then I always just double check. 276 plus 284 plus 312 plus 308. And I got 1180, which is what I wanted. And then I'll just double check the other way. 116 plus 1064 is also 1180. So they should add up to be the same number both directions. Now that I completed that, I'm able to answer some of these questions. So what percentage of students surveyed are freshmen and play a varsity sports? It's not limiting us to a group. It says of the students surveyed. That means out of everybody. So everybody is 1,180. Of those 1,180, we want freshmen and play a varsity sport. Freshman, varsity sport, there's 7 of them. Okay. So when I do the math on this one, 7 divided by 1,180, I get a small number, 0.0059. So a lot of times I try to keep it to 2 decimal places, but smaller numbers happen. So I'm just going to write, I'm going to round. I'm going to take that 9 is going to round the 5 up to a 6. So I'm going to write it as 0.006. If I multiply that times 100, it's going to move my decimal 2 places to the right. Gives me 0.6%, a very 0.6%, a very small number. And so where did this number come from? That's my total, and this number came from the crossing of 2 categories. So this is a joint relative frequency. Okay. All right, let's look at number 2. What is the probability that a randomly selected student is a sophomore? So we're not limiting it to a group of students that's out of everybody. So 1,180. What is the probability that they are a sophomore? So sophomore total is 284. When I take 284 and divide it by 1180, I get 0.24. You multiply that times 100 and I get 24%. Okay. So I use the total, and my number on top, my numerator, came from the margin. So this is a marginal relative frequency. Okay. All right. So given the student is a senior, now, they didn't say out of everybody. They said, really, we're only talking about seniors. So I'm going to go to my seniors, and they're really only talking about these 308 people. Of these 308 people, what is the probability they play a non-varsity sport? So in my seniors, non-varsity is 257 of those 308. When I divide that out, I get 0.83. Multiply that by 100, and I get 83%. I did not use the total. I used a column or row total because I had a condition of seniors only. So this makes this conditional. All right, one last one. What percentage of students are seniors and play non-varsity sports? We're talking about seniors and non-varsity sports, but it says what percentage of students. It didn't limit us to a particular group, so it's talking about all of the students. Seniors non-varsity, we just had that number. It was 257. So 257 divided by 1180, I got 0.22 times 100 is 22%. And I got my number by taking a joint divided by the total, so this is a joint relative frequency. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back in class.